Hey everyone, I'm Ultraviolent 4, and I am welcoming you to the first game of the Game of the Month series. Huh? Game of the Month series, I hear you ask? What is that? And why are you playing offline? This is all very strange. Indeed it is. So, with the newest release of Crawl, we now have the ability to do seeded runs. It's due to Advil, who's one of the devs. Uh, doesn't work online, so you can't choose your online seed, which is why I'm playing offline. But the idea is that by putting in a starting seed, the game's going to generate all of the regular dungeon, all of the items within it, all of the monsters you come across, etc. Which means people can essentially play the same game, which I've been hoping for a very long time. Everyone thought it kind of, while technically possible, would never happen, but Advil, the absolute madman, madman, not man, the madman, went ahead and did it. So, very excited, and I started this Game of the Month series. I'm going to put a link in the description to the Reddit post, but I've made a new little subreddit that's just going to have Game of the Month threads in it. Basically, once a month, I'll nominate a combo and I'll supply a game seed, and then everyone who wants to can play the game. And the idea is for it to be a learning experience. It's not a competition, so there aren't points. It's not like you have to have one go and if you die, that's it. By all means, play it as many times as you want. And then I'm going to play along as well. So I think if you want to play this yourself, probably the best way that you'd get something out of it is if you actually stopped watching right now. Go and have an attempt at the game yourself and then come back and see how I do it. And then, of course, on the Reddit, there's a discussion thread so you can talk about how your game went, share your MOG file, any screenshots, stuff like that. So for round one, we're playing something pretty simple. I thought we'd take it easy for the first week, a fairly straightforward combo. So I've chosen a Minotaur Gladiator, and this is what your starting room should look like. So if it doesn't look like this, you've done something wrong. Quick note, there's a UI bug that I think it only lets you, if you manually put the seed in, it only lets you do the first 18 characters, and I think this seed is 19. So the way that you select the seed, it's explained in the Reddit thread, but basically you go to your options file and there are two lines that you put in. One is the seed and one is saying to pre-generate the entire dungeon. And then it should look like this. If it doesn't, try to figure out what's going wrong. I think that's it. I wonder if my settings file and everything will be regular. Well, I'll start playing and we'll see how we go. But this is the start. So for these games, I'm just going to try, it's once a month, but I'm just going to try to win them. So I'm not going to set out to pick, the most interesting god. This is going to be a cause game or anything like that, which is what I often do in my normal crawl games. But for the purposes of teaching and for everyone learning, I'm just going to do my best to win them. Alright, so a Minotaur Gladiator. Minotaur is really strong, of course, up there for the strongest species. As a gladiator, we have 3 throwing nets. You'd normally have a helmet as a Minotaur, but we have a hat because we have horns. We start off in a leather armor, which is relatively light. A war axe, so gladiators have the same upgraded weapon as a fighter does. So that's nice. And then I guess we're going to go. So we're going to go get the scroll. Oh, there's literally no lag. It's insta game. Very nice. I'm wondering if this is slightly optimal to destroy this plant here and get the dispersal trap. So we kind of have a pillar here, although it uses water in it. So if we're running from, say, a ball python or something, it could catch us over the water. So I wonder if it would be optimal. This is only a very slight thing, but it could save you potentially to kill that plant and free it. So if we walk out one of these doors and there are 8 different enemies, I don't know, say we get stuck, we could run onto the dispersal trap to then blink us around and hopefully get a second lease on life. Really small, tiny thing that I don't know if it actually is optimal, but I bet no one else does that, so there you go. And we are manually exploring, we're looking for pillars. So we're looking for things that we can run around and heal up if we have to. There's one. So we can now do a really long run around this whole section. Still a bit of water in it, but I don't know. You're playing a Minotaur, it's not really the species that's going to struggle the hardest in the early game. You're really strong. Oh, I didn't do my skills. Okay, we should do our skills. Ooh, colors. It's pretty. The offline client is quite nice. Let's see. So our axe is our main weapon, so we're going to focus that. I'm going to leave fighting on. Minotaurs are so good that I think I'm probably going to do armor and dodging as well. But if you didn't do any dodging, you just did armor, or you even just didn't do any armor for the moment and just did fighting and axes, that would be fine too. My personal preference, which drives some people crazy, is to just train lots of skills at once. Yes, as a Minotaur, we've got plus HP, we've got horns, and we have amazing aptitudes. So if you're dying with a Minotaur Gladiator on the first enemy you find, you're pretty unlucky. You literally don't even have to do anything, as you saw there. You get to retaliate as a Minotaur, so you can go AFK and you'll still kill enemies. We picked up a ring. Don't put that on yet. That's a real trap that you could fall into. Without any remove curse scrolls, you might be stuck with something that's really nasty. And for any new scrolls we pick up, I'm not going to raid them until and unless we find a 2-stack of something. Yeah, see, this is an example where having a pillar is nice. We are dying to this kobold here. We've dropped down to 8 HP. He can hit for 4 plus his dagger, which is actually 9. So he could technically kill us here. So we could keep fighting him, or what we could do... Oh, he's got stones as well. Well, that's fine. He's unlikely to kill us with stones. Although he potentially could. How many does he have? We don't know. Alright, but we can run around this pillar and we can regain our HP. And we can get above 1-hit territory before we continue fighting him. So we're up to 10 now. We could take 2 shots. Alright, we're a Minotaur, so I probably don't need to go too far. But the point is, by running around this pillar, we get to reset this fight. And we get a second turn at it. And then we just one-shot kill him. So if I kept tabbing him back here, we could technically have died. So, yeah, little trick there. Even on a Minotaur, it turns out, pillars on D1 can be useful. We picked up an amulet, same thing. Don't put that on. Could be cursed inaccuracy. We have no remove curse, so you don't want to do that. We see here 2 different armors. As a Minotaur, let's have a look at our aptitudes. Everything on the right there for magic is horrible. You probably knew that already. So we're basically never going to be doing magic. We want to go in the heaviest possible armor we can find, which the scale mail is heavier than the ring mail, so we're going to upgrade to that. Then I'll walk back a little bit into the unknown. I don't want to be taking my armor off on the edges of where enemies can be wandering in from. We're going from 3 AC, 13 evasion, which is 16 total, to 6, 11, 17. And then more AC is better. Reach level 2. Very good. I wonder if... No, I could put a skill target for axes on right now. But the thing is, we don't know for sure that we're going to find a shield, if ever. Armor to 1. Man, Minotaurs are so crazy. How quickly they level up. Alright, we've got a bunch of water and stuff over here, but I didn't see anything actually interesting. Maybe I should go back there. It's possible there's a D1 altar. That happens. That would be funny. This seed was totally random, by the way. So I've been told that it generates some interesting features. but I went to a random number generator. I said, oh, okay, D1 shield. Well, there you go. But I went to a random number generator. I said, give me a random 19-digit number, and here it is. I haven't tested it out. I haven't played it at all. So yeah, this is all new for me. A D1 shield. Okay, well I think that's not a no-brainer, but you'd have a small brain maybe if you didn't put that one on. So I really like shields. I'm not in the camp that says you should wear a shield every game whenever you find one, but in a situation like this, I think you go with the shield. So the main thing you're giving up is the ability to have two-handed weapons, and you often hear people say, well, that means you'll do less damage, you'll kill things more slowly, which is true, but that sort of argument usually assumes that you're fighting enemies one at a time in a hallway at all times. You never meet ranged enemies at ranged. You never meet a bunch of enemies and you need a stab pull, things like that. Whereas I think a shield ups your survivability a lot. So in a situation like this, where we don't have a good two-handed weapon that we've already committed to, we haven't found, say, a vampiric battle axe or something like that. We just got a plain war axe and we found a shield. In that case, I think we commit to the shield. Something else you hear people say or do is that they won't use the shield immediately. I think that's a mistake. Put it on. Have a look at our defenses in the top right. We've got 11 evasion and no shield. By putting this on, we lose 3 of our evasion, but we gain 7 shield, which is actually going to be making us much more survivable. It will mess with our attacks a little bit, but that's fine. It's my same reply as with the two-handed weapon doing more damage. We'll do a bit less damage swinging slowly with a shield penalty, but our extra survivability will just keep us alive. Alright, so again, this is going to bother some people. I'm going to put shields on as well. It's alright, we're a Minotaur. All our aptitudes are fine. And we're going to set a skill target for 15, which is where a regular shield's penalty goes. And one for axes as well. I'm putting 18 in now, which is maybe getting ahead of myself. But 18 is the min delay for a broad axe, which is the heaviest one-handed axe. The war axe we've got now is 16. Maybe I'll do that. So if I hit... I thought I could press something here on the screen to set a skill target. ST? Maybe that's only a thing online. Okay, interesting. I thought that worked. Apparently it doesn't. Can I do the shield? No? Okay, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that's just online. Anyway, we're going to set the skill target for axes to be 16. Maybe we'll never ever find a broad axe. Stranger things have happened. Let's keep going. I'm seeing glass up here, which means this might be some sort of altar room. So we're going to head towards that. In this early game, anytime you're seeing interesting features like that, you should check it out, because the sooner you find a god, the better. In this case, no. Just random glass panels. I don't know the offline client. What's this little thing? Monsters. Apparently none. Okay, fine. I shouldn't have done that. I should not have done that. But I ran and picked up the scroll. I got excited there. We still don't have any doubles of scrolls, so we're still not putting on any of this jewelry. Looks like this D2 just has a bunch of these glass panels, features, just around 3 scrolls of something. So we just found one more of those. I guess we found one and then another. Right, finding any multiples of anything in the early game, probably identify or remove curse. So we're going to check those out. The sooner you find identify, the better. Although I'm coming to an upstairs to read it, because I don't want to randomly read a teleportation scroll. So let's do that. It is ID. So I'm going to do our potion. It's the most important thing. Not curing, unfortunately, but ambrosia's fine. And I'm quite tempted to do our amulet as well. I'm happy to wait for rings for remove curse, but for amulets, some of them are bad to put on, even with remove curse, particularly harm. So we're going to ID that. And it is harm. There you go. So we save ourselves from getting harm there. See, this is actually, I'm really excited about this because now we can actually find out how many of you put the harm on, how many of you got punished. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is really, really cool how we have seeds now. Strength, int, or dex to level up. We've already got 18 strength. Minotaurs are a really high strength species, so we're not going to be worried about armor. There's probably a case for dex to help evade more, but I don't know. On my melee brutes, I like just having more strength. It ups your melee damage. I'm not going to bother, but picking up the hunting sling here would be decent as well. Having a ranged option with slings, even with 0 skill training, is strong. Although you should not wield that until you have remove curse. So that's another way that people might have been punished. You let me know, did you wield the sling? And if you did you get punished? We've got some new scrolls. We're going to ID those immediately. 2 haste. Alright. Nice little tool to have. Chainmail is upping our defenses again. And as soon as we see plate mail, we're going to switch to that too. Let's keep doing potions. We still don't have curing. I'm backing up rather than running into the unknown against the kobold. I didn't do it against the python. I got cocky. Anyway. Oh, this is a great stair. Okay. So we know for a fact that we don't have curing. So if we got extremely poisoned by this adder, we could be in trouble. But in addition to the adder, we've met a D3 Orc Priest. And not just any D3 Orc Priest, this is to start it. These guys are really scary. They're smiting. That's telling me the tile. I don't have beam. I can't do queries to show you. Well, that's one downside of playing offline. But they can do up to 17 damage with a smite. So that priest alone could 2-shot us, and that's not even considering the other orcs or the adder. So the first thing we're going to do is just go straight back upstairs. Hope we don't get smote. We didn't. I'm going to use X and then E to exclude that stair. I don't want anything to do with an orc priest for as long as we can manage. And then now we're fighting the adder. I'm not too worried about the orc. I have some solace in the fact that we have a potion of ambrosia. This early in the game, the extra healing that will give you, it ups your regen rate, will be higher than any poison. So if I didn't have that, I think I would probably throw my throwing net at the adder here. There's a decent chance for it to miss because an adder is evasive, but if you hit it, that would make this fight a lot safer. But I think because of the ambrosia, I'm just going to fight, and we killed it in one because that's the Minotaur life. Alright, good. Oh boy, okay, so we're kind of getting swarmed here. But these are all pretty easy. These are regular jackals and regular orcs. We're still quite far away from where that priest was, so it's probably a different pack rather than the priest being around. I should be dancing this up though. Actually, it's not a great stair to stair dance because you end up in a corridor trapped. But that's still probably better than fighting all the unending enemies all at once. So we split these packs into 2. A Gozag altar, interesting. Alright, so this is our first god that we found. Alright, so the thing about, if you're just looking to win the game, the thing about gods and with temples is that the quicker you have a decent god, the much better off you are. Especially if you're a more experienced player, the most dangerous parts of the game tend to be in the early game. So having a god really makes you safer. Now, Trog, for instance, might be a stronger god than Gozag is. Some people might argue with that if you're not starting as a berserker. So say if we worship Trog now, we wouldn't be able to berserk straight away. But with Gozag, you'd get immediate access to Potion Petition, which is a good panic button. And that first one is free. So the point I'm trying to make is that even if you have some optimal god who fits perfectly into your plan, whether that would be Trog or you might think that might be Okawaru or something like that, you don't know when you're going to find those gods. You're not guaranteed to find the temple until D7, and then you have no guarantee that your god will even be in the temple. For regular gods, so we're not including Bio, Lagonu, Jiva, I think that might be it. So for all the gods that aren't those ones, you will find them by the end of D9. But the end of D9 is a very long time, and it might be in a vault where you have to go to D10 and then back up a stair to D9. And then you might go down to D10 and you might get shafted 3 floors, and you have to fight your way back up from D13 and you still don't have a god yet. Okay, you'll be a Minotaur, that would be nice, but the lesson here is that the earlier you have a god, the better. And if you're planning gods, you don't know how long you're going to be waiting. So my rule of thumb for when you're just trying to win the game is the first decent or applicable god you find is the one you should worship. By decent or applicable, I mean things that you could actually see yourself using and benefiting you. If we had just found a Sif Muna altar or a Vehement altar, when we know we're a Minotaur in heavy armor, we're never casting spells, that wouldn't do anything for us. There might be some personal preference too, like maybe you don't particularly like Yusuke or something like that, so you could skip that one. But I think Gozag is a perfectly serviceable god. So if this is you, and this might be you because you're playing the same seed, I think that it would be optimal to pick up Gozag here. Let's just check our food situation. We don't just have one ration, right? We've got 5 rations, okay, that's fine. The thing about Gozag is that he's going to turn all your future enemies into gold instead of corpses. So maybe if here on D3 you literally still just had your one starting ration, you might think, okay, that's a bit risky without any perma food. We'd be reliant on finding some to stay alive. You might not, but we're fine, so we're going to pick up Gozag. Cool. We pay a service fee of 28 gold and we get insta access to Potion Petition under A. Something I'm going to do because it's not that uncommon for me to accidentally hit AA, and then once you Potion Petition, you can't get out of the menu, you've wasted it. So I'm going to go equals A to adjust an ability, and I'm going to change Potion Petition from little a to big A. So now hopefully I won't accidentally hit AA and waste it. That's a little bit harder to press. Bribe Branch is fine because it asks you a prompt whether you want to do it or not. Core Merchant, I'm not sure. I might just change it to Shift B, just, I don't know. It's not like you're using Core Merchant in a fight and you want ease of access to it, so that's okay. One thing that seeds aren't going to do, they don't affect your regular fights, so the actual RNG between your swings, enemy swings, etc. But another thing that they're not going to do, which is interesting, is that if we call Gozag shops, I don't think they're going to be the same merchants. So potentially some variability here between games where someone might get an amazing shop that has the +9 Broadaxe of Vamp and someone doesn't. But all the same. We got Gozag now. All his actual abilities, except for all the ones that aren't. Wow, that was a dumb point. Okay, we've got his 3 active abilities here. But all the other stuff is passive. So as we kill enemies, they turn into gold, and we don't see it, but you get a little status effect that potentially then distracts other enemies. So in a way, you're lowering damage you take. Yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. We've met these orcs. Here's a wizard. There's a chance that this is the same orc pack as up there. We're kind of far away, so maybe it's not. But even if that's not the case, there's potentially a priest here as well. So I want to be trying to back up. We don't have curing as far as we know. So if that orc wizard has the confuse spell, which would have a 53% chance of affecting us, he could keep us perma confused and just kill us. So he blinked. Does that tell us now I can XV him? If he blinked, he does not have confusion. Okay, so he's much less scary. Okay, that's a... Oh man, I don't get my monster list. Where's the... I had a monster list before. Where's it gone now? It's my ability screen. Where's my monster list? I really don't know how to use the offline client. Here, monsters. Alright, we have an iguana. There you go. An iguana. Good. Oh yeah, okay. So these guys can bite for up to 15 damage. So we're gonna run away now. He fell behind due to random energy. He's sort of flirting right on the edge of being next to us and not. That's fine. Our stair's on a pillar. So if he ever falls behind as we're running around here, we can go up and reset the fight. But yeah, 10 speed enemy as a Minotaur you should not die to, because you can just run away from it like that. Unless they random energy you. Like that. And kill you. Okay, so I could have potentially died there. Let's reset that again. We're just going to keep having attempts at this until we roll well. Alright, got him. We may as well eat now. Because we're never getting chunks from flesh anymore. And did I just go down the orc stair? No, that was a different stair. We hadn't been to this one before. Okay, fine. Alright, you see that enemies getting confused by gold. It's nice. This guy has just a plain flail. Alright, our skills are still going up like crazy fast. We're gonna read our potions. Now that we've found our god, actually, I think I'm tempted to just start reading the rest of my scrolls. So I like to wait for D4 to try to find magic mapping to find the temple, but we don't care about temple anymore. So I'm gonna stand on the stair in case of teleportation. I'm just gonna start reading them. Yeah, noise. Okay, that's another one why you want to be on a stair. In case anything nasty comes, you can go back up. Enchant weapon. Okay, +1 hand war axe. There's our remove curse. When we find a second one of those, we'll start putting jewelry on. There's teleport. We go up. And random uselessness. Okay. Orcs again scary. Don't have curing for confusion. We don't know if there are priests around, so I'm backing up to fight them. Okay, more ID. We're just going to keep doing potions. There's brilliance. Still no curing. Well, this might be an interesting seed insofar as we never find curing. Alright, well here's an enemy that you'd really love to have curing for. So we've got an early Sigmund, which again, this is a good one to find. It's a good tester. Even as a Minotaur, an early Sigmund can definitely kill you. He has a plain scythe. He's got a robe of fire resistance. But perhaps the most important thing to note is that, again, we don't have curing. He has a 49% chance to confuse us. So he could very easily just confuse you and kill you. So we have no business fighting Sigmund. So we're just going to try to get away. Oh, we got cornered between the priest and Sigmund. Alright, we have a scroll of teleportation, which I actually am tempted to just use right now. If it were just the orc priest here, I'd run at him and fight him. But as soon as Sigmund walks into view, he could confuse us. And then if we have Sigmund and an Orc Priest while we're confused, we're in trouble. Well, this is the benefit of reading your scrolls early. You can't potion petition when you're confused. I'm 99% sure. Yeah, because my mommy can't do it, so you can't do it either. Okay, so I can't rely on the potion petition to save us here if things start going wrong, because if we're confused, that's sort of it. I note that we have a potion of invis. Neither Sigmund or the priest can see invis. That might be the play here, actually. With only one teleportation scroll, that's really quite valuable. I feel like I value that right now more than I do the invis. If we go invis, Sigmund won't confuse us. Okay, I'm gonna do that actually. So we're gonna hang onto the teleportation here, and then in that case, we should now start trying to kill Sigmund. Because we're invis, he can't see us. We get stab damage. Okay, we've got a war axe. We're not stabbing extremely well with it, but the point is, if there's ever a time to be fighting him, it's now while we're invis. Say we hadn't met the priest there, I would have run back up to D2, and I would have been scared enough of this early D3 Sigmund without curing that I would have actually then tried to skip the rest of D3 and come back to fight Sigmund later. But then yeah, we got trapped between those two. What I'm going to do here, it might not be necessary. Should I throw a net? It's probably not necessary. We get Sigmund's... See, he's guessing where we are, so he could still hit us with the scythe even though he can't see us. And especially if he shoots magic darts can't miss, so he would definitely hit us with that even though we're invis. But if I throw a net at him, he won't be swinging and he won't be casting spells most of the time because he'll just be trying to get out of the net. But I think we're okay, so I'm just going to swing at him. He hit us with a scythe, see, he's guessing. I don't know, I think this is still a bit spooky. I'm going to throw the net at him here. I mean, you shouldn't necessarily be trying to save your nets. If you can save them, that's great. But on a Gladiator start, you want to use them in the early game against rough situations. He broke out of it, so we don't get our net back, alas. But he's nearly dead here, so I'm not going to throw a second one. Got him. Gives us a bunch of experience. We get to level 6, I'm going to pick Strength again. And then I'm going to pick up his +2 robe of fire resistance. Not that I think we're going to be using that generally. And I'm not... Oh, no, it definitely won't be cursed anymore now that enemies tell you their loot. So I can put it on, but let's just see. 9 and 7, 4 and 11, yeah. It looks pretty cool. But the reason I'm picking that up is because we might find a fire enemy somewhere. Maybe there's a lindworm, or we might also find an early volcano, in which case this gives us some RF. I should not be getting trapped between orcs like that. That was probably the orc priest that we saw earlier, but still, we don't know. When you see orcs, you don't know what other nasty orcs are with them. We have been trapped right here between two different adders. You have an axe, you cleave, that's great, but I still think you only want to be fighting one at a time in a hallway like this. Especially we still don't have curing, so I don't want to get multiple adders hitting me at once and potentially poisoning me. Okay, here's another altar on D3, so you might have come across this one first if you came down a different downstairs. So Ash and Zari. Would I have picked Ash? Probably not. Ash is my least favorite god in the game. So I think my personal preference probably would have been to not pick Ash there, but you might have. Nothing else I want to identify. I'm happy to wait for remove curse for those rings. Gonna test my up hatches for the orb run. Fighting goes to 4. Okay. The other thing to note is that once you have the ability to call merchants with Gozag, you'll always be offered the chance to get a food shop. So you shouldn't worry too much about starving with Gozag, unless you're trying to play a Blaster caster character or something like that. That would be painful. But you're really just worrying about food here in the early game until you can get enough gold to make sure you never starve. I think there was something else I wanted to do there, but I've forgotten. Oh boy, we just found a... Okay, this seed is crazy. So we found a D1 shield, and now we've found a D4 crystal plate armor just sitting on the ground. For the beginner's introduction to this Game of the Month series with an easy, straightforward Minotaur Gladiator week 1, my random number generator has really turned things on here. So we're going to instantly put that on. Crystal plate armors are extremely rare. To find one sitting around on D4 when you're a Minotaur is extremely lucky. You see all the posts that people make. I'm playing a Draconian and I just found the first crystal plate armor of my whole playing career, etc. Well, we just found it on a character that it's extremely useful on. So we've got 9 AC, 7 evasion right now, that's 16 total. This is going to take us to 15 and 1. I'm going to go into our menu and insta turn off dodging. First of all, in order to not be too adversely affected by the encumbrance of this, we're going to want 23, 24 strength. We've only got 21, so you can see our evasion immediately tanks down to 1. So yeah, we're not getting any value out of dodging for a little while. We'll train it in the future. You always want some dodging, even if you're in crystal plate armor. But this early in the game, dodging isn't going to help us much. Yeah, this is really, I'm still quite shocked by that. Very cool. Alright. That doesn't mean we can get too cocky though. We see here the wizard, he went invis. I think that means he doesn't have confusion again. But we still don't have any curing, and we know that for a fact. So we're still really worried about being chain confused. Here's Ijib. Always has a wand. Very scary this early, but fortunately in this case Ijib has a wand of Ice Blast. Because that would be super unfair. You can't dodge Ice Blast. Monsters can't use them, so we can safely kill Ijib and we can then claim her Ice Blast wand here, which is good. Not going to start training evocations just for that. I think we're training enough skills as it is. Plus, I tend to not worry too much about training evocations in my games because they're really good without any training anyway. Here's Eustachio. He has just a posture, a rapier. He is quite a deceptively dangerous foe. Because he has blink and summon small mammals and summon minor demons. So you might think you're fighting him, especially if you're in a hallway. He then spams summons and blinks away and then just summons infinite wave after wave after wave of enemies at you. Like this. They can be quite nasty. So a bunch of shadow imps here. If you're going to fight him early game, try to fight him at a stair like this. So you can pull him up or down and all his summons will disappear. Yeah, see, I think we might be about to kill him here. I can just go back down and it will reset his summons again. So I can keep taking him up and down. I don't know why I was still fighting him. Because I was being stubborn. I thought we'd kill him eventually there. Alright, we got him. We got up to experience level 7. Yeah, cool. Some more scrolls. We've seen noise and teleportation, so we can read that not on a stair now. It was fear. Some argument to be made that I could have read the identify scroll to then not waste the fear. But I still like to keep those for potions. So I'm going to do the same play again. Amnesia. D4 Ogre. Quite scary. Can do 17 plus its giant club, which is 22 or 20. I can't query, and I never remember. So still quite dangerous, but we have an Ice Blast one, so I could always shoot him once. We also have throwing nets, and considering we have 60 HP and a crystal plate armor, I don't think he kills us in 2 shots. So I think we can start fighting him. No, I feel a bit uncomfortable about this. Will I throw a net at him? I'm gonna throw a net at him. Okay, he dodged it anyway. He dodged both of them. Alright, so punished there. Well, that was maybe a bit of an overkill. It actually got us hurt for doing it. But it's still an early ogre. We have potion petition, we have an ice blast wand, and we have a crystal plate armor. So I'm not too afraid of him, but let's give it a go. Probably actually, if we're going to be super safe here, well, I was going to say we could pillar dance him, but we can also make use of this door here by closing it. He's going to open it. We're just going to heal back up to full HP, and then we'll fight him again. That's close enough. No, not close enough. There we go. That'll do. Alright, too easy. We didn't take a single damage there. A Wand of Acid, really good. Again, the game really is turning things up here with the item generation. Now got an early Wand of Acid, an early Ice Blast Wand, early Shield and Crystal Plate armor. Here's Natasha. She's just quaffed might. Well, she's fast, so you're not running from her anyway, so you may as well just run in. If she starts killing us, we've always got our wands. Still no other remove curses though. I hope you're being patient like I am and not just putting those pieces of jewelry on. Here's a double wizard. Without curing is kind of nasty, but we're so strong now that if it's just a wizard and not a priest, getting confused is not too big of a deal. Natasha again. I'm going to step back through the door and shut it to force her to come to us, so she's not blasting us with spells as we close distance. Wow, she's actually just killing us in 1v1, which is surprising. This is a -3 flail. Okay, that's fine. Just checking it wasn't venom or something like that. Alright, last round with Natasha. Fighting and shields to 8 and 4. A plain Twisted Rune Staff. I'm going to pick those up. We're not going to try it yet because we still don't have Remove Curse. But they potentially... Staves are potentially useful just as a way to get resistances. So say that's a Staff of Air. If we really need it, we could... Oh, we got a double portal. If we really need Aralek, and that's a Staff of Air, we could wield it and get Aralek. Similarly, if it's a Staff of Cold and we meet Fana, we could hold it just as we're running away. So I don't think you should ignore those just because you're a character that's never going to use magic. And I think this seems like a decent place to leave it. This is fun. I'm really enjoying this seed so far, actually. I think it's been a really interesting one for everyone to play. So we got double portal here with a sewer and an ossuary. This might be one of the tests of seeds. I think Advil's not quite sure about. He thinks the insides of portals might vary between games. So I guess we're going to find out as everyone does it. You can let me know if you get the same portal or not. But we might have choices here between doing the two. But we'll deal with those in the next episode. So see you all then.